Hello, and thank you for watching another edition of ARFCOM News. First up is a Canuck wildlife officer in Alberta who saved 2 deer by blasting them with a shotgun. Their antlers had been tangled, and if they were unable to break free, starvation would have taken both of them. The officer takes careful aim and fires at the spot where the antlers are tangled, shattering the bone and freeing the animals. If the women don't find you handsome, they'll at least find you handy. You may have noticed that we haven't been doing a lot of product news since SHOT. That's because the period between SHOT and NRAM tends to be the doldrums of firearm news. Most companies either shot their wad announcing products at or prior to SHOT, or they're waiting for NRAM to announce. But we do have one announcement that we're pretty stoked about. You may have noticed it already. There's a clue floating around in the bottom corner of your screen. Yeah, there. TNVC is now officially our video sponsor. With their support, we'll be able to review more products and go more places. TNVC has been a site sponsor of AR15.com for years, and we're grateful for their generous support of our channel. If you like capitalism and you want to vote for content like this with your dollar, check out their site. They have all sorts of night vision gear, mounts, accessories, and even some really baller swag. Louisiana may join the 16 other free states where a person need not genuflect before the throne of the almighty state in order to seek the crown's pleasure to exercise a fundamental human right. It's not the first time the Bayou State has tried to pass constitutional carry, but if each of you call and write the Louisiana legislature, we may be able to get HB 72 passed this time around. We've heard the same arguments in every other state about how the streets will run red, human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria, but none of those hysterical predictions have come to fruition. There's been no statistically significant change in crime or firearm mishaps in states that have passed constitutional carry. Open carry is already legal in Louisiana. This bill wouldn't allow anyone to carry a gun who can't already carry one. It wouldn't let anyone carry who couldn't already get a permit. But the $125 fee, the cost of the class, the hassle of the paperwork, and the time waiting for a permit to process is a substantial burden, especially for someone who might be short on both time and money, like a single parent. All gun laws disproportionately harm the poor and minorities. But permit schemes like these are even worse. So call those critters in the Louisiana State Legislature and urge them to pass HB 72. While you're at it, call their law-making cousins in Tennessee and tell them to pass the constitutional carry bill that Governor Bill Lee just introduced. I don't have a bill number for you yet, but stay tuned and I will bring you new information as we get it. We've had constitutional carry here in Arizona for years. Arizona is one of the most gun-friendly states in the whole union. Basically, everything that people think about Texas actually applies to Arizona, which is why the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors resolved to make it a 2A sanctuary county. Maricopa County encompasses most of the Valley of the Sun, including pretty much all of the Phoenix metro area except for Apache Junction, making Maricopa County the most populous county in the state. La Paz, Yavapai, and Mojave counties have already passed 2A sanctuary resolutions, but Maricopa County is now the largest county in the U.S. to have passed such a resolution. Now, there really aren't any teeth to the resolution. It's not as if the Board of Supervisors resolved to arrest ATF agents. It's really more of a symbolic gesture affirming the importance of the right of the people to keep and bear arms here in the 6th largest city in the country. What's not toothless, though, is Mississippi HB 753, which would declare the state to be a sanctuary from unconstitutional federal gun laws. More than that, HB 753 invites other states to enter into a compact to create a 2A sanctuary geographic region roughly centered on Mississippi, including Tennessee, West Virginia, Georgia, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, and Kentucky. A statute, regulation, rule, or order that has the purpose, intent, or effect of confiscating any firearm, banning any firearm, limiting the size of a magazine for any firearm, imposing any limit on the ammunition that may be purchased for any firearm, or requiring the registration of any firearm or its ammunition infringes on a citizen's right to bear arms in violation of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, and therefore is not made in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, is not authorized by the Constitution of the United States, is not the supreme law of the land and consequently is invalid in this region and shall be considered null and void and of no effect in this region. They certainly don't mince words. As I've said before, I have no idea how these laws will play out in court, but I am stoked to see these counties and states drawing a line in the sand. Are you tired of hearing about Michael Too Short Bloomberg and his army of Karen minions? Well, I'm tired of talking about him, but so long as he keeps trying to pervert the electoral process with his filthy lucre, I'm gonna keep reporting on him. The East Coast oligarch has now cast his covetous eye on the Lone Star State. Everytown, which receives an enormous amount of funding from Bloomberg in the form of anonymous donations, has announced they intend to spend more than $8 million in Texas to push laws that violate the basic human rights of Texans. That's more than 3 times what they raised for Virginia, and they saw modest success there. While many bills died in committee, and the worst, 961, was delayed until next year, some of the gun control bills they introduced were passed. We don't have anyone on our side throwing fistfuls of cash at the issue like it's trying to work its way through college, but we do have a lot more people willing to donate $10 or $20 to defend our civil rights than they have people willing to spend money to erode them. That's why I'm pleading with you to pause this video and open another tab to go donate to the GOA, SAF, FPC, JPFO, your local CDL, or whatever gun rights group you choose. I'm always a little hesitant to name any gun rights group because there are so many worthy of mention. Please don't take my lapse in memory to be in any way a slight against other organizations that are out there really putting in work for the cause. While we're on the topic, it's worth noting how head over heels the legacy media is with Bloomberg's dark money politics. While reading for this piece, I came across this Houston Chronicle article. In the very first sentence, he refers to these anti-rights groups as gun safety groups. The tone of the remainder of the article is obviously very positive about the vast sum of money Bloomberg is spending to subvert the process, but that phrase is factually inaccurate. To the best of my knowledge, neither Everytown, March for Our Lives, nor Moms in Your Area Want Action have ever given a safety class or taken any substantive action to promote safety with firearms. When you come across factual inaccuracies like this in the failing legacy media, throw them a bone and write a quick note to correct them. No need to be nasty, but these folks need a little help. They're kind of the folks who couldn't manage anything more difficult, so they settled on a communications major. The kind of folks who don't realize that when your paper and website are failing, the last thing you want to do is chase away site visitors by forcing them to disable their ad blocker to view the content. I'm just saying that the failing legacy media is a little slow and they need your help. In Maryland, HB 1261 died a well-deserved death in committee. It would have banned a broad list of firearms as so-called assault weapons. Now, Maryland already had banned various different rifles and shotguns, and pretty much your typical scary black guns sort of stuff that we've grown unfortunately accustomed to in banned states. Mostly guns that are functionally identical to less scary wood-stocked guns. But HB 1261 would have added a slew of pistols determined to be assaulty enough. Mostly, the list reads like the raddest shopping list from a Soldier of Fortune magazine you've ever seen. OG stuff like the Uzi and Tech 9, as well as a handful of guns obscure enough that only Ian at Forgotten Weapons would recognize them. HB 1261 also would have banned binary triggers, bump stocks, and something called a burst trigger system, which, judging by the description in the bill, is just what it sounds like. A 2 or 3 shot burst fire control group, which is already considered a machine gun under federal law. Since bump stocks are also considered to be machine guns by decree of the ATF, that means that Maryland control freaks wanted to ban binary triggers and some stuff that's already basically banned at the federal level anyway. I wonder if any of them have a cousin working in the Department of Redundancy Department. HB 1261 also would have required registration of these scary guns, but the fee to register would have gone from $290 to $580 to $1,000 depending on when you got around to registering. Now, I didn't stutter. These jokers thought people were going to pay 5 times more than an NFA stamp just to register their guns. Thankfully, the bill did die in committee, but be vigilant for future garbage like this. Alabama is considering a plan to create a centralized database of concealed carry permit holders. If you live in a constitutional carry state and you're confused about this whole permit thing, there are still some backward states out there that require folks to obtain permission from the government to exercise their right to carry a concealed firearm. And in Alabama, those permits are issued by and records maintained by county sheriffs. HB 39, sponsored by Representative Prauncey Robertson, would centralize and standardize permitting to a state level. Proponents argued that the various sheriffs have different policies, fees, and forms, and that a centralized system would be more uniform and more secure. The bill would also create a lifetime permit. Opponents argue that it's just another registration scheme and that a single point of failure is the opposite of information system security. Now, if I lived in Alabama, I would probably encourage my representative to vote against this and push for constitutional carry in the next session, but I could understand why someone would go either way on this one. Now, I don't know how much help it is nowadays, but on the off chance it helps you decide, the NRA is backing it. Maybe because the bill includes a senior discount. The cost of statewide permits would be $200 or $150 for anyone over 65. Whichever side you're on, call your public servants and let them know where you stand on HB 39. Both Paul and I are going to be out of town next week. Coincidentally, both of us will be in Oregon, although I'm reasonably confident that he is not attempting to complete Boogaloo side quest number 87 like I am. So, we won't be able to bring you news next week, but we will treat you to something special on Friday. That's all the news I was able to cram into this episode. We're going to have a lot of catch up to do week after next, so stay tuned. You might even see Paul again. I love you.